all the participants and the resource person. And I would like to give a brief introduction of our resource person, Majaswamy Annadurai. He is popularly known as Moon Man of India. He was working as a scientist, ISRO, and also he was a director at ISAC, Bangalore. And his contribution towards the major missions of ISRO are namely Chandrayaan-1 and Mangalyaan. And he did his engineering in electronics and communication from Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, PG from PSG College of Engineering Technology, Coimbatore, and PhD from Anna University. He joined ISRO in the year 1982 and became the center head, heading the ISRO from 2015 to 2018. And also he has received a lot of honors and awards from various government agencies and organizations. And Padma Shri in 2016 is one of the highest civilian awards given to an Indian citizen. He has received in 2016 from Government of India. And also Government of Karnataka has honored him with the Rajyotsava Award in the year 2006. And apart from this, he has received a lot of awards to his credit. It is about running for about 2 pages, so I don't want to read out all the things. So he has received Hari Om Ashram Petit Vikram Sarabhai Research Award in the year 2004, and a citation from ISRO for his contribution to INSAT system mission management in 2003, Team Excellence for his contribution to Indian Space Program in 2007, ISRO Merit Award in 2009, Team Excellence Award in 2010 for as a team leader in Chandrayaan-1, and ISRO Outstanding Achievement Award in 2014. And also he has received so many international awards and laurels to his credit. Space System Award in 2009 from American Institute of Aeronautical and Astronomical Society, US. And also he is being awarded from various professional bodies. And he has written a lot of books in Tamil, and for a book, Kariyaranakke Nille has won SP Adiyattar Literary Award for the year 2013. So he's a great visionary. So I welcome you on behalf of our group of institutions. Sir, over to you, sir, for further continuation. Thank you very much.
Okay, can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good morning to all. I think on behalf of ACS Group of Engineering College, this webinar is arranged basically to me to talk about post-COVID-19, what are the challenges and opportunities basically for engineers, maybe in particular to aerospace. I think the same thing will go almost to all the engineering discipline, irrespective of engineering discipline. Possibly this will give an idea about what are the challenges and what is going to be the opportunities. Now I will go for the sharing some of my view drops towards that. I think I will try to touch upon. Hope you are seeing my PPT.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Now, yeah, comes to years. And at this point of time, though, as I told, particularly the title is an aerospace, probably to touch upon, you will get a clue about the whole engineering aspects in terms of being a student, in terms of incoming student, or income of the outgoing student, or income of even teaching faculty. I think probably we will get an idea about what we are talking about. Now you look at today's condition about post-COVID or even within the COVID. You look here, a lot of uncertainties in the seeds being there. Okay, so this is just looking at from what economics talk about. Economics could have talked about some GDP, big picture, macroeconomics, so many consumption, production, so many things they would have talked about. But now all are getting jumbled. The scenario in which they have worked out 2020 beyond how it will be. Plus, then we add that COVID-19 at the starting of the 2020 itself. I think a lot of these scenarios we are seeing. Okay, in this background, just you look back, you look around just a history. That history what talks about why we are talking about so big about COVID. I think this also will, when we are looking for the challenge and opportunity, we should look for what is the environment in which we are talking about. I think this view graph gives a panoramic view of similar pandemic things, whatever happened over the history. Okay. Now you look at here, in the history where it is documented people died alone, not only affected is much more than this. How many people died over because of various pandemics, starting from the plague happening, plague of Justinian happened 5th and 6th century, 41, 540, that 1 year. Versus you look at here across even the late SARS, Ebola, swine flu, all these things you look at here. Among all these things, coronavirus, as it stands, now we are already 6 months, December to now we are talking about entering into June. 6 months is over. Now you look go down the line. Again, when we come India, specific to India, even though today we're talking about COVID-19 affected people, affected means the number of deaths happen. Nearly, we are talking about 400,000 people across the world. And the majority, you know that it is US and Europe is taking the majority of the casualties in the 400K. And whereas India is a very, very major number when you looking at here. Whereas in the previous other things, in terms of plague or in terms of the smallpox, other things, India had a very big casualties. India is one of the large casualties that happened in the previous plague or other things that concern. Okay, and even the HIV also across the globe versus I think if you look at here, coronavirus is a very, very, very illicit thing, and even extrapolate will go. And this is not only history. You look at here, even the latest annual death, what is happening across the globe. Across the globe, you look at here, the view graph talks about the deaths in millions. Okay, this is yearly talking about nearly 20 to 25 million people are dying, not because of age, it is because of various communicable or non-communicable diseases or in terms of accidents. But here the huge number of deaths we are talking about, annual rate is concerned, I think we are talking about. And even in that, you look at here by accident alone, the accident alone, you look at here, nearly 1.2 million people annually die, road accidents, something like that. Even disease makes you to be away from the disease. So even in that awareness condition, even for 2018, it is nearly 770,000 this is just the background. I think you have to keep in mind while we are going subsequent discussions. Now, in spite of all issues, yeah, hope I'm back. So, in spite of all the issues of engineering, the engineering team is evolved a lot in terms of the globe, what was there versus what the global today. For example, to start with, 1 minute, your internet is connection looks unstable. Let me come back. Let me come back. It looks my net is unstable. My God. அதான் கரெக்ட். வேற மாத்தி பார்க்குறேன். இந்த கதை தெரியா?
Hello?
Yeah, now it's okay?
It is audible. It is audible now.
Fine, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Okay, now, okay.
Hello?
Okay, yeah, I am sharing now. Yeah.
It's audible now.
Okay, fine. Are you able to see my?
The face is audible.
Okay, fine.
You can share the screen and continue.
Yeah. Okay, now.
Yeah, it is. I think sharing now. Sharing now. Okay.
Yeah. Now you look at this thing. I think I was talking about the previous few graphs about so many pandemics were there, so many issues were there, and humanity beyond even the normal aging related death, so many other deaths in millions happening annually as well as across. In spite of all these issues, engineering has enabled the humanity has grow to this level now. Okay, the same world, same earth. In spite of that, how originally man, even for the basic need of eating, he was eating what he gets. Okay, he or she, in terms of some foods or vegetables, or even if he kills something like that. Okay, so he eats what you get. That's what he has done there. But rather than today, he makes what he want to eat. Okay, not only that, in terms of bread or whatever for the farm, even your idli, dosa, like that, many things. What you want, he makes and eats it that way, not as it is raw. And that means the cooking and even agriculture. That means where you want, you cultivate that and do that. This is also a part of a engineering aspect. Similarly, the person who are crawling or some walking, now he travel to wherever you want, even to the moon or Mars also now, I think is not beyond our limit. Similarly, housing gives to cities and towns, we are able to live today, thanks to again engineering. And similarly, we are able to communicate various forms. Today, we are communicating in one form, and various ways it's happening. Printing has come, we are able to read. So many things are able to, thanks to again engineering, things happen. These are all things happen because, and while doing all these things, manual labor has come down, manual labor has been made easy because of machines, various ways. From drawing water all the way to moving our communication, good number of machines have come now. So not only the machines which helped the man who is reduce his labor, ease his labor, there are a lot of good amount of automations also came. Okay, and in terms of whether even making a car, many things, automations, even to our satellite operations, many things you look at here, automation has come. This is basically some convergence of many activities like computers. When it came, computers only to computing, but beyond that, it is able to connect to a machine, or it can connect to a sensor. It is able to take the logics of the human. So accordingly, it is able to give an automation to that. So when connecting all these things, computers and automation machines and artificial intelligence, you look at here up till now, man with his natural intelligence, starting from where whatever he was getting or eating versus making what to eat, slowly he is using his own intelligence. He was making, understanding the nature, he was making use of the things which better way, making the machines, automation, computers, many things came. So this using his natural intelligence. Now he's trying to see if this natural intelligence also, not with all the people, of course, it's only a handful of people of their intelligence helped with this. Now, is it possible to replicate that also in terms of another domain called artificial intelligence, so that machines can think to some extent. Machines can have an intelligence activities to some extent that can graduate also. Like when your schools, high schools, college, graduation, post graduation, doctorate, artificial intelligence also possibly can graduate over the years. So putting all the things together, today's buzzword just before COVID-19 entering, all engineers are talking about with a convergent world of Industry 4.0, wherein the engineering of mechanical, the engineering of smart systems, the engineering of computers, the engineering of the sensing, engineering of artificial intelligence, communication. I think many things got converged together to bring in something called Industry 4.0, wherein the engineer of yesteryear is supposed to equip himself with in a much better way. And you look at here, just to give an example, the foundry which is supposed to be a very labor intensive system. Today under Foundry 4.0, the engineer working in a foundry no different from engineer working in IT company, because a good amount of automation helps actual activity happening in a foundry, but how to do that activity is dictated by an automating system. So that is designed and that is being managed, that is being operated by an engineer who sits as if he is operating a satellite, he is operating another computer. I think it's happening in foundry just in India. It is happening just few months back. I had an opportunity to look at that. So that is the level in which just before COVID-19, the engineering has brought to the world in spite of so many multiple pandemics, much more severe than the COVID-19. So this is the background, just to keep in mind, so that you are in the people who are in engineering fraternity or the allied fraternity who made this to happen and as of now. Okay, but now in spite of that, I think we talk about COVID, so many things. Let us this way. Let us not worry about that. Just way to summary is, after plague or after smallpox, after Spanish flu, after HIV, after SARS, after swine flu, many things, even after many things, also many things happened. In spite of all these things, humanity was improving. World per se, this world of standard of living in terms of travel, in terms of food security, in terms of the living security, in terms of travels, in terms of communication, in terms of education. I think even healthcare, I think definitely by and large, world has improved a lot. But now you look at here, as far as I am concerned, after COVID-19, is a very, very small part of the whole big game what we're talking about. Still, only the difference between the previous occasions, previous all occasions to now is concerned, the presence of electronic and social media. That's the only difference humanity lived. And in spite of all these things, as I told, we have grown a lot, starting from just moving a long way in spite of all these things. But only difference between those factors now, difference is only presence of social media and presence of all the debates happening in TV media. I think leaving that, just keep in mind. Just keep in mind. Other than that, we don't see COVID-19 as anything big as far as at this point of time, or an engineer. I think that's what I was trying to say. But notwithstanding that, now a scenario is emerging. Scenario is emerging after COVID-19 because our movements have got affected, the way in which our social movements are got affected, travels got affected, many things have got affected. Because of that, initially I showed a picture for what economists what they were trying to show. A scenario of very, very confusing scenario versus a scenario slowly emerging wherein hyper globalization gives way to globalization. There is slightly difference. Governments will subsidize the creation of industries that cover basic needs. I think that's the basic difference going to happen there. And supply chain look for a local suppliers, sacrifice the global. I think that's also going to happen because of very many things happening here. Even you know that US, such a top position, they are finding it difficult because many things are outsourced. I think they are thinking in a slightly different way. So the nationalize will be stopped. They initially thought nationalization is thought to be an evil. I think that also will come down, okay, and power in various ways. Even elections, I think they will be able to hold. I think that's happening there. That means innovations will rocket. This is what they told. I think at this point of time, what all I told together, as an engineer, irrespective of whichever the place where you are, as an incoming student or the student or an outgoing student or a teaching faculty, that bulb of showing yes, there is an opportunity. Various pandemics we lived through, and in spite of all these things, we have brought the world to this level. And this post COVID-19, as far as we are concerned, as I was together, nothing bigger than what we have seen in previous occasions, the previous engineering factor we have seen. So why we should think this as an issue rather than take this an opportunity? I think that's what basic thing is coming. So putting the previous view of whatever I told, what sort of innovations in specifically for aerospace can come? I think that's the thing. Okay. Now this is my though I telling my here only my area aerospace. I think every one of you can put even within aerospace as a student or a teacher or even another engineer, mechanical engineer, electronic engineer, whomever is there, even a media person can think about what he can in this scenario. That means previously engineering enabled, as I told, all things happen irrespective of various issues. But now what we can do, I think that's issues happen like world war or plagues happen. After that, the world has emerged much better than the world it was originally. Okay, that's another thing here. That means post COVID-19, I think we have all the reasons to regroup in various ways and such that come in a big bang. That's what I'm telling. Yeah, a challenging opportunities waiting. That means now you take where before COVID-19 we left. Okay, we left where, as I told you, Industry 4.0 was emerging, and everywhere we're talking about not only Industry 4.0. I myself was discussing in various educational fora when Industry 4.0 being there. Do we need something called Education 4.0? That means to match for Industry 4.0, how people should be educated, how people should educate, how people should get educated, both. Okay, what is the mode of education should be there to match for the people to match for the Industry 4.0? That's what of discussion was there. Now, having told that, and what is that Industry 4.0? Okay, this is basically convergence of many technologies like big data, 3D printing, mobile, edge computing, augmented reality, machine learning, and Internet of Things. I think putting all things together, irrespective of the field, as I told, it can be foundry, it can be autumn, it can be a production field, it can be a shop floor, and very, very many places. Why? We are talking about a possible place where even the farming industry, farming can be also, this can be there, wherein the produce, how it can brought to a industry, how you connect it, how things can be done. Even that connectivity also, Industry 4.0, its usability makes the things much easier, good transparency, good visibility, and such things possible. And that means with less effort, with the less thing, I think we an efficient output, efficient process is possible, a traceable process is possible, and wastages we can very well we can reduce. Definitely, for example, if Industry 4.0 norm, if Indian Railway could have followed, okay, today look at here, many rails started from one place, supposed to have gone another place, it has gone to some other place. I think some confusions were there. Okay, that such a things we could have avoided. These are all things where engineers have to play a role. Okay, some of the things may look like a slip, even the slip would have been avoided if you are able to follow some of the norms are concerned. So here you look at here, a convergence of engineering disciplines are coming. For example, 3D printing, it's not only 3D printing per se, it is going to be another discipline altogether. Okay, how you have your 2D drawing, 3D drawing you have done for to make a particular tool versus how your 3D, that means how your the design should happen. 3D printing means how we can reduce things supposed to be slightly much different from what is already there. So this one machine learning. Machine learning means electronics and computers are there, but still you should aware of in a field software something is to be done. Means things to be known from the mechanical engineering point of view. That means interdisciplinary is going to be the norm for the engineering aspect is concerned in aerospace also. Now that means these are all the background I shown. Now what is the opportunities we talk about? Are the post COVID-19 whether aerospace itself will exist? Some people even question. For example, today the air travel, many people. Many aeroplanes are getting cancelled because of movement. This is only initial transition. But notwithstanding that, you know that already in California, this Falcon 9 is waiting to be launched tomorrow. Okay, supposed to be launched already, 28th yesterday. But what happened just before that 16 minutes, 54 seconds before, and because of the weather condition was not conducive for them to launch at that moment. Okay, it stopped because 16 minutes later supposed to be launched, but at the time weather would not have been cleared. When they would have launched as it is, there would be a problem. The weather was not conducive. But they're delaying even 1 minute. They cannot go and catch the already in orbiting International Space Station. That to go, this has to go exactly at correct time. It has to start. Then only it go and it will go and dock with the already orbiting ISS. So that means it has to wait for particular time in a day. And that another opportunity coming for the tomorrow is concerned. I think that's what it's planned for the this launch is concerned. That means it's already waiting. This launch is all about again man coming back to the going back to the moon. Towards that, this is one of the initial steps. That means a private industry, SpaceX, their launch vehicle, in that two humans are sitting, and they will go to the ISS, a test flight. That means subsequently this flight, after a few test flights, subsequently this flight will be able to take the man to the moon. That's also they are thinking about. Thing is concerned. Parallelly, another vehicle, Orion, also getting ready for that. So this is not only man going to the moon back after so many years, and it's a private industry also playing a role in this. So that opens, that shows this is happening right now, where the country wherein the casualties of COVID-19 was reported to be highest in the world. This is happening right now. Okay, and now another place where really coronavirus started, China. Just I'm calling an example. COVID-19 is not really panicking elsewhere. Then why not panicking elsewhere? In aerospace industry, that's I'm trying to give one place where the highest number of casualties already there. Another place where really it started, China. China also in May 5th, they had the latest launch they have done, their Mark 5. That launch is again taking the humans to their own space station. Okay, and that they are planning. They are planning for this making the Leonard their own space station alone. They are planning as many as 11 launches. Okay, will be conducted for the next 2-year period, starting from 2011, 21 and onwards start. But now the test flights are going on now. So that will make their own. China will have their own international space station. They are planning. Okay, and going to the moon colonization, also planning that way. So these are all the activities happening right now. Right now it's happening. One side the US, another side China. These two things happen. So now put another aspect. Another aspect, not going to the people to move. This scenario talks about basically how many you are able to see okay, somewhere typically around somewhere 1800 to 1900 active satellites are there, and few thousand debris also there. Okay, around the globe today, and now May, the first deployment of operational satellites took place. This is, they are planning to make somewhere around 12,000 satellites around the Earth to make anywhere to anywhere communication possible. Okay, in a much better way. That's what is going to happen. Now right away, and I'm talking about my internet is unstable, it tells, but that should not happen anywhere to anywhere. Even when you are moving, that will not happen. That's the things they are planning. So for that, they talk about somewhere around 12,000 satellites by a private company. Okay, not 12,000, not 12,000, 42,000 satellites. Okay, originally they are talking about somewhere around a small number, but now they are talking about 42,000, and this is going to happen in the coming years. Okay, in that first 60 already happened in this May. Already it's happened to that. So this initial, this is how the elsewhere things are moving in space industry. And recently, new initiative by Government of India opening aerospace to the private industry also happened. Okay. Now these are all the many things that actually you look at here post COVID-19 actions when you are taking. One of the thing has been identified is Government of India opening aerospace industry to the private. Okay, that you should note in a very close, very carefully. That means what is the importance of, how much importance of aerospace industry is there in across the globe and in India also. Okay, and all emerging world that is called for. Basically, is called for when we're talking about industry 4.0 or other things. Space cannot be left behind. Okay, space also is used much better way. All along, this globe has been used for various ways. Now, space is another vantage point. Space is another place where we have to use it much better way. So these are the. So that means now post COVID-19, sometime back I told, innovation will rocket Okay, that meaning the word rocket, I think we should capture very nicely, because it is, you have to, it is all depends on how you innovate, irrespective of whichever the field you are, how you are able to connect to the emerging technologies in this world. I think that's what all the more important is called upon. Then just coming to the challenges, now assuming yes, we have want to go to the particular field space. Okay, then what are the challenges, what opportunities we have? Okay, yes, I already told there are requirement of more and more satellites. That is, one private industry itself is talking about 42,000 additional satellites. Okay, whatever it is that. So similarly, I think similar thing will happen for our own country. Various nations also will happen there. That means more and more satellites is going to come. Who is going to make? How to make? Okay, that's what we are talking about. Okay, they are only that industry 4.0, automation, intelligence, many things have to converge together to make the more satellites to be realized, launched, operated, have its lifelong system sitting there. To make that, you need bigger and bigger launch vehicles. Okay, and instead of launching the vehicle and leaving it, it should be a reusable launch vehicle. And that's also is definitely called apart. That means when we are making the satellites, there are again two different requirements, two different varying requirements also will come. That means big and powerful satellites for national communication and defense. For India, anywhere to anywhere India, now you have to communicate. Anywhere to anywhere India, we have to do, and our borders have to be checked. That means it should be 24-hour watch is called for. Okay, and for that you need big and powerful satellites is the requirement. But whereas you need small and compact satellites are required in terms of a global communication or remote sensing. Because why I'm telling is, national communication means the geostationary satellite. Satellite will be geostationary over your place, for over India, let us assume. So that is only covering our Indian interest, India and its surrounding interest, and defense point of view also, communication point of view also. So that way, it's a big and powerful satellite. That means minimum number of satellites. For that, it would be big and powerful. But if the global means the satellite will be a lower. Then only it will cover the whole globe. That means it has to go around the earth and it will have global communication and remote sensing. For that, it should be small, but it should be compact. That's how that 40,000 number and all coming that way. But while doing all these things, it is very, very difficult man in loop operating the satellites. So spacecraft automation is a norm. Okay, that means somebody can make a satellite, somebody will launch the satellite, but still you need a system to be embedded in the spacecraft. It can work automatically. Okay, that means you have a good number of the people from computer science. You have the good number of people from the artificial intelligence, the smart sensors. Many things is called for. Okay, communication teams is called for. Similarly, comes for the manned space missions. As I told, space stations are coming, lunar missions are coming. So manned space missions also will happen. So manned space missions will have its own requirement of how to make the man to be livable there. Okay, its own technologies, starting from the whatever the astronaut dress, all the way to the environment what will be there, how we can live in a near zero gravity and life support system. Many things are there. While do all these things, gradually space tourism can come. Space tourism comes, it opens up so many things. It is not like Wright brothers invented the aeroplane just to show can fly, but now people are using aeroplanes for tourism. Okay, similarly, space tourism comes when the number of requirement for that is will go decreasing. Towards that, definitely good number of avenues for research and development and work is called for. While do all these things, gradually talking about Elon Musk, he started a very modest way. He talked about now he pushing to all the way manned mission, private industry, manned mission to the moon, manned mission to the Mars. But that is all happening not just for tourism alone. Okay, to start with, it may be tourism. Finally, it may end up in a man making a colonies there. Competing countries can do that. Then while doing all these things, it is not only going up and up and up and up. Is it possible to use that vantage point of the space in a different way? This is called solar power satellites. That means we are having the solar cell missions in the ground. But there is a limitation here. The limitation is not more than 6 to 7 hours per day, you can have the solar power because the sun rays keep moving. Not more than that, peak power you will get. And again, cloudy days you will not get. And in case of rainy days, you cannot get. So many things are there. But whereas you are able to place the satellite somewhere in the geostationary, there almost throughout the year, you will get the solar panel will get illuminated by the sun. And that is without much of a inhibition or atmosphere. All put together, power generation is much better. And that can be brought back to the earth in slightly different way. Already technology improvement wise it is done there, but operationally it should be realized. When you do like that, uninterrupted power, very, very green power, it's possible to make it available to the global. So for that, good number of R&Ds developments are able to be assembled there, looking for one side, looking for here, another side, converting the RF power into in the solar power into a radio frequency mode, and that will be brought back to the earth in a converged way at one particular place, wherein a huge amount of power can be collected, and that can be distributed in the globe. So that is very, very green power across the world. People can do that. Why do all these things? Yes, space debris will come because now more and more satellites we are putting it there. Space debris is going to be an issue. So we should think about even before making another group. Already you look at here, all spacefaring nations, they are having a discipline called space debris management. I think that's really it's called for. And towards that, not to crowd with the satellites without non-active systems, how to do very many systems being discussed there. And that's also going to be beyond making the satellites, beyond making launch vehicles, beyond operating them, debris, avoiding the debris, and how to mitigate the debris management is another thing happening there. While doing all these things, another thing comes. That means not only into the space, these technologies can be used. For example, unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. These technologies and applications are huge because what all we gained from here, that aerospace engineer, mechanical engineer, electronics people, and remote sensing, all the people together, there is a good amount of technology and applications back to here. I think a few graphs I tried to spend on that also. So this is another domain which what all you learned here can be used right away down the line here. And these are all not, we are not talking. And you look at here, this already started giving benefits. For example, just before my retirement, look at here, a huge amount of infrastructure we built up just in Bangalore itself. We can have simultaneously 20 big satellites can be integrated simultaneously. Okay, that will enable for us to go every month on satellite. Almost we have done it in the time frame of 2015 and 18. Look here, 30 satellites were launched from India, Indian satellites. Okay, so that is almost a month on satellite like that we launched. That means already this is in India. Though I told China, though I told in US, it's happening in India also it's happening. Yeah, already we have an ecosystem, both private and ISRO together already. Things happening. That means during this period, good number of private industry people have been trained how they can integrate the satellite, how to make the various systems for the satellites. Also already happened there. So with that, now what is ISRO? ISRO, you look at here. ISRO per se is coming under the 4 umbrella. Under the 4 umbrella, basically using the space, you should give the applications back to the earth. Synergetic application for Earth observation, communication, navigation, meant for national development projects, and land, ocean, atmosphere. All the 3 things: land, ocean, atmospheric interaction, maybe in terms of weather forecast, or in terms of any flood warning, or in terms of any cyclonic warning, or even the fisherman, the potential fishing zone to identify. Very many things, forest fire to identify. Very many things we are trying to talk about. Towards that, you need good number of space infrastructure. That means good number of Earth observation satellite, communication satellite, navigation satellite, and space science and planetary missions is another thing. To make that satellite to be launched, you need the good number of space transportation in terms of PSLV, GSLV, reusable launch vehicle, human spaceflight. And this all integrate together and we called capacity building, the human resource, which will enable this to happen. Okay, that as much as possible, indigenization is the first role. Okay, that's how we use to go there. so that we should stand on our own. So required technical infrastructure, that's what I showed there. Required technical infrastructure being built within India today. There is no need people go to see what is NASA is doing. I think even good number of NASA people are coming here to see how Indians are doing. So Indian industry can make the satellites for other foreign countries. Very much is feasible, and they can come and launch here. So this way, industry and academia also brought under along with the ISRO, it's happening. So and outreach activities, you know that nowadays ISRO definitely reaches out what it is doing to the communities concerned. So while doing, these are all the current assets of ISRO today in terms of communication and meteorological satellite, Earth observation satellite. This many are there. Navigation satellite, space science satellites. So these are under the core umbrella. Good number of satellites are operating for our own purpose. It's happening. But now the number has to be still increased. That's what we're talking about. And what we do, just give a few examples of that. This is one of our CATO mission in Dubai city. When we were flying over Dubai city, what we are seeing. Just giving an example of what is our capability today. Just giving a few examples. I will not go too much divulge on that, but just give an idea of what is there. Okay. And this is, you look at here, that was CATO 2 and this is CATO 3. Okay. That means previously we have taken a satellite picture, something like this. Now you can zoom into that. Okay. Then we zoom it here, you can see something down the corner. If you see this other fellow, wherein even full aeroplane you are able to locate. Okay. This is basically a pixel size is somewhere around 20 centimeter. Okay. That level we'll able to see from the 400 kilometer orbit. We are able to locate the systems like this. Similarly, you look at here. This gives observation what does see through road traffic versus now how we can see very close how we can see from using our own satellites. This is the capabilities today India possesses. It keep moving. Okay, this is another way of seeing how we are able to see. Now comes to these are all, as I told here, elsewhere what happened, what is happening within India. Okay. Just around COVID-19 onset came. But another issue also coming here. Now you look at here, starting from 1982 onwards, slowly, ISRO was keep improving in terms of manpower. And similarly, over the years, how many missions, this is every 5-year period like that you take it. So how the number of missions we are realizing. You see one side the manpower 19,000 18,000 is manpower ISRO within ISRO, and other side y-axis talks about 10 20 30 are all how many satellite missions were launched during that period. You can see an exponential increase in number of the satellites we launched. Now we're talking about this time frame 100 120. That means every week a satellite launch may be called for. That's the requirement we're talking about. However, you look at here, the manpower within ISRO is almost static, somewhere 18,000 to 19,000 in between. Now, we are seeing a good number of people that joined during the period 19, okay, including me. Many people are getting retired. So now, huge demand for the requirement of the satellite to be launched is there, but good number of people are retiring. Okay, so put together, good number of people are needed to be inducted in aerospace. Okay, one side demand is more, another side number of people available or keep declining. Or put together, now new initiative. This is one of the things you have to think about that. At this point, new initiative by Government of India opening aerospace for private. Okay, that means private and ISRO together only has to do it. But the demand is more. That many people within ISRO is not there. Definitely, private industry has to chip in. So, private industry has to absorb this many people. That is the opportunity we are looking for here. That means once upon a time, ways to join Indian space program means how to join ISRO. Okay, but now post COVID-19, one of the announcement given by our finance ministry is private industry is also now inducted into a aerospace programs of India. That means What all initially we told how to join ISRO is now going to how to join ISRO or any private space industry. I think this is the requirement. Okay, that means joining IAST after +2 was talked about. Now after double or any private space industry or after ME, MTech also you can join. After PhD also join. Depends on where you will fit in. Okay, in a shop floor, in a design lab, in an R&D lab. It depends on where you fit in, depending upon your qualification, depending upon your skill set within ISRO or private space industry. Definitely, such a thing is possible. Now, this is space. Similarly, for Aero also look at here. What we talking about 2017, what were the narrow body aircrafts? How many? Now almost double is going to happen there. Wide body aircrafts also similarly going to happen double. Similar regional aircrafts also it's nearly 3 times going to increase. So now the aero industry, you know that it is not only making number of satellites, maintenance is going to be huge effort. And because of that, definitely you need huge manpower. Induction is possible in this industry in the coming years. Now I talked about elsewhere, I talked about the unmanned aerial vehicle. I think this is the one on space and air. Now the unmanned aerial vehicles, compact aerial vehicles can use in very many ways. Agriculture, forest and wildlife, urban development, healthcare, traffic management, homeland security, disaster management, mining, and so many things. I think a huge potential is existing. And now almost across India, good number of academia already chipping in. And the private industries also trying to make this commercial. And I believe shortly state level corporations for drone corporations going to come. And for the time being, even the drone policy also now getting eased by the thing. So it's becoming a toy-like drone now for application-driven drones for agriculture. For example, crop health monitoring, soil health assessment, improved resource utilization. Beyond that, your pesticide seeding, like that, many things possible. And this numbers, it is going to sustained number. So every year on year, it's to be done there. Traffic management, I think when VVAP is coming, it's happening there. But now it can be a regular affair is very much feasible because this can be a dynamically you can do many things in that. And homeland security definitely go, not only homeland, even border security also definitely we can use it in a SWAM mode of UAVs are concerned. That way, huge things possible using the UAVs. And that means one is making UAV, another operating UAV, using UAV for some data you collect, and how that data can be utilized in terms of agriculture. Not only taking a picture, how you are trying to tell crop. Every week you want to give an assessment. Okay, anywhere anything infected or like that. For that you need to process ground processing using a image processing is very much another requirement in that. Whereas to make it lightweight, definitely mechanical engineering can play a role, 3D engineering can play a role, composites, materials can play a role. So like that, very many things are sitting there. And communication, sensors, electronics, I think so many activities are very much visible there. And just give an example. Just recently worked out for the Tamil Nadu alone, for agriculture alone. Okay, how many drones are required? A roadmap starting from this year. I think this is almost we are discussing. For 24 months from now, where we stand, a huge number of drones, Tamil Nadu alone for agriculture alone is going to happen. Okay, like tractors in every village, drones, 1 or 2 drones in every village, bigger drones, not a small. It can lift as much as 20-30 kg of payload. That much pest you can go for spraying. Pest spray point of view can do. Effective spray it can do. You need a people to pilot that. You need a people to maintain that. You people are similarly for various other purposes also, as I told, the water resource management, many things we can do. You need allied engineering activities and going to happen there. So it's a huge manpower requirement. This gives an opportunity of not only as an engineer, possibly an entrepreneur, possibly entrepreneurship also possible here. in this. This is just giving an example for one state. I think similar things will happen across the other states. Okay, and that discussion is also in a place, and such that you have good amount of opportunity, employment opportunity, and good amount of entrepreneurship possibilities also exist here. But while doing all these things, that means you have opportunities, as I told here, available. But what is the challenge? This challenge I'm not putting. Mahindra Aerospace, they have listed. Okay, I am putting that what they think is a private industry, what they think is a thing. Okay, you have a lot of potential. Everybody is telling. However, this is the big issue. However, to fulfill this potential, the aerospace sector must surmount challenges such as inadequate, trained, skilled, and competent manpower. I think this is the one I think to be underlined. Okay, that means they expect something better, something more. Okay, I think what is that? I think that should be known, and that is why academia is required to come to it. And inadequate R&D investment, I think that's slowly now it's going to be compensated. Then dispersed production centers. That's so now they're talking about is zone level. They identify the place there that will happen. There dispersed production sector investors one place that they can do. Frequent change in regulation policies. I think this is also being addressed in finance minister's thing. This has happened some time back. Every one of them being addressed. But now, what is we are supposed to do is the so-called inadequate, trained, skilled, and competent manpower. How to overcome that? To overcome, other things are falling in line. Government is taking part of that. Okay, inadequate foreign direct investment. I think government itself now trying to do that. And now, as I told already, the people like Boeing, GE, many people are keep coming because India is going to be the highest number of in the next 10 to 15 years, higher number of aeroplanes they're buying, or the satellite launch vehicle. Many things are going to happen there. So because of that, definitely foreign and direct investment also keep coming. Lack of coordination amongst the different players and agencies. This needs to be how to correct, definitely a very focused way the FICCI and other people are doing it here. But as far as these students are concerned, the first line, first and foremost is that once that is filled up, all other things are keep following. People are taking care. Policymakers who are there in the place, they are taking care of that. But that how we can get trained manpower is a very much requirement. That means COVID-19 given opportunity. COVID-19, I think people are engaged. They will engage basically for doctors and their healthcare people. Okay, and scientists in life science. Okay, that means how to make the things faster, test systems faster, or the incubators faster. Many things. I think there's then after that when we talk about scientists, it is more of a engineering team work a lot the big way there. But post COVID-19 belongs to engineers and scientists in applied and engineering sciences. Okay, as I told, because you have to regroup such that, for example, work from home is mostly going to be a norm in very information industries. Okay, many computer industries. Okay, under that we enable that good number of activities to be done, good number of satellites to be done, and even the satellite is done how uninterrupted communication to be done is happening there. But now from there you take the clue here, study from wherever you are. I think that probably that norm can come. Okay. And for that, what is required, technology point of view is to be required, study from wherever you are. I think, okay, and that's really required there. Because improve the skill doesn't, tomorrow you are not able to sit in a classroom doesn't mean your time should be wasted. Okay, because as I told here, train college days is the days where you will get really that good number. That classroom not that doesn't mean you can forgo that opportunity. So study from wherever you are, definitely. So it is no more. It is in education. Basically, post COVID-19, what it talks about is no more it is education. It is lifelong edutainment. You would have heard the word edutainment, but lifelong edutainment. That is how when you keep graduating, graduation is not the completion of what you have education you have done. Graduation is only a symbolically a mark where it starts you for your lifelong entertainment. That means education and entertainment should be a combination of the things. That means entertainment, normally you will feel, yes, it's entertaining me. So you feel more engaged in that. Okay. But education, you will feel burdened, so you will not engage yourself. But you connect these two things. Just to think about education and entertainment, you connect to these things. That means education also some sort of entertainment. That means it is a purposeful. That means entertainment also gives you some meaningful thing. So that's way, if you are able to do lifelong, I think that's what called for today and tomorrow aerospace engineer, not only aerospace engineer, any engineer. Okay, lifelong learning is a really requirement. That should happen. Job is not for earning livelihood. Okay, it is a process of discovering the meaning of one's life. I think it's a bigger picture is there. Not just for eating and filling our stomach alone, we are living. We are living for something else. That means our most of the time we are spending in our employment, our job. But that is basically go in a big way. So now, while doing, I thought of giving one opportunity. There is already a student design competition 2020. I am also chairman of the National Design and Research Forum. This I think is anytime will come on the website. I think yesterday I cleared for this be placed on the website. This is slated for last date is 5th September to 2020. This is meant for the competition for all disciplines, aerospace to textile, all spaces. The alphabetical order report. There is no this other way. Aerospace, agriculture, architectural, chemical, civil, computer. I think all the people are eligible. You can compete for this. Idea is post-COVID-19 challenges and opportunities. Whatever topic that I have taken here, that same topic we are going to put it there. So you within your own discipline, what you think post-COVID-19 challenges given you an opportunity for you to do that, from your discipline to do that. It can be interdisciplinary also, but if you're being a graduate student from that thing, you are eligible to put it in any one of the fields that way. So this is also open for you, but this is another way, because when you're talking about private as well as ISRO year competition like this, when you're winning, even participations upcoming areas. That means post COVID-19, I think in the few graphs I told, we need not worry about too much on that. That's where I am concerned, because our predecessors of engineering, irrespective of so much of pandemic, they lived in as far as we are concerned, the numbers is concerned. So let us not worry about that, but make use of the opportunity in the changed scene. Definitely in the changed scene, how we can effectively use this system as a student, as a teaching, as a researcher. I think that's what all the things require. So again, engineers to remake the world habitable and sustainable. I think with this, best of luck for all of you for joining this particular session. And now I am open for next few minutes for some questions. Yeah, that's done from my side. Yeah. Anyway, just one line I told. One question is asked: what is the future of composite technology? Definitely composite. I think I put a word when we are talking about UAV. Definitely in all aerospace, definitely composites should play a major role. Composites itself was brought to this level by aerospace industry only. Though now it's going for various community applications also going on. We are also working on that. Definitely aerospace plays a role. and especially UAVs. UAVs also today, for the lightweighting point of view, composites can play a big role. And definitely for airframe and the satellites, launch vehicles, and definitely composites playing a major role. That will keep continuing. And nowadays they're talking about something called self-healing composites. That means interplanetary, which other things to keep moving. And there are some damages happen. Is it possible to self-healing? I think in a Mars mission, one place we have shown that, but that is as of now not existing in the industry. But that is one of the things. Our research going on. That's also expected. Otherwise, definitely composites playing a major role. Yeah, somebody asked how NAVIC is different from others. NAVIC is basically our national thing. It is GPS is a global. There, when we're talking about, I told that two different type of satellites. One is for the national application, another one for the global. GPS is for the global, for the from anywhere to anywhere. If you want to read the required. But as far as India is concerned, India thinks India, its surrounding 1500 kilometer. This our NAVIC configuration will help, but our accuracy is much better than even GPS. Understand your opinion on the project of launching a private aerospace company in India. Okay, private industry. One question is there. My opinion about private industry. I think my main feeling is that is the need of the hour. One is when we are in ISRO itself, encourage a good number of industries be partnering with ISRO. The idea is so that they will get trained and they will become responsible, and their discipline also will come way in which ISRO working. I think a good number of people have come there. Now, definitely it can be given, also given equal opportunity. However, a good regulating mechanism, like what is happening beyond Air India, you have a good number of other private airlines also. But still, the airport is controlled by government, and the whole regulatory is there. Similarly, communication. Beyond BSNL, also you have good number of private people, but regulation is still within government. Okay, because of that only we are getting benefit. Because of the competition, we are getting benefit. So similarly, that should happen. I think for that, definitely private industry can come with the proper regulation. Yeah, some question asked space debris. I think I also talked about that. There's another totally different discipline every aerospace industry is taking care. And we keep monitoring the things, and we are trying to avoid the space junks. And there is another effort, whatever already junks have come, how to retrieve that. I think that's also going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the questions are lined up. Probably
Yeah.
sir is occupied with other programs. So any questions you can mail to us so that we will be able to clarify from the sir.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon to all. I am Dr. Chandrasekhar, Principal from Rajarajeshwari College of Engineering. It is my honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks for the webinar on post-COVID-19 challenges and opportunities for aerospace engineering. I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to Honorable Dr. Mailsamy Annadurai sir, Vice President, Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Technology, former Director, ISRO Satellite Center, for accepting our invitation and present this webinar in his busy schedule. Sir, your presentation will certainly enlighten the young budding engineers and professionals to grab the various challenges and opportunities which you have mentioned throughout your presentation, like bigger and more powerful satellites and the career opportunities that are available in the advanced field of aerospace industries, etc. Definitely, it is a boon for our upcoming engineers to have a positive hope that they can able to be successful in their career. The details you gave during the pandemic period will certainly help all the engineering professionals to get much information to overcome this crisis, which many of them are very anxious. On behalf of the management, I thank all the faculties, students, and RRCE and ACS and other participants across the country. I'm happy to express our sincere thanks to all the heads and faculty members, organizers, various committee members of RRC and ACS for arranging this function and make this function a memorable one. Finally, I thank Mileswamy Annadure sir for sparing your valuable time and sharing your experience with all our participants, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you all the participants.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think chat box is full of, they are asking about
Yes,
feedback and
yes.
certificate. Probably you can take care of
Yeah,
that.
sure,
So,
sir. We'll definitely take
thank
care.
you. Thank you very much. I think a good number of students very
Yes,
active
yes,
feedback
sir.
is there. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Yeah, you can.